Hey everyone, I'm KenTTB and welcome back to my channel. And today we are playing I only played this game once, and this is the match that I'm about to show you. Now, this game is slightly different from the usual genre that I play because this game's about tactics and well, subterfuge. Because get it? Because this is what the game's name is about, subterfuge. Well, anyway, if anyone who plays the game called Neptune's Pride finds this eerily similar, it's because it's supposed to be similar. You see, the developer of Subterfuge actually plays Neptune's Pride and actually thoroughly enjoyed the game, but he found it too time consuming, so on and so forth. So here we are, playing Subterfuge. Now, I find this game really funny because the name itself really funny because first off, you see submarines, get it? Subterfuge, and also because tactics and shit. Yeah. Anyway, first off, we have electrical generators which produce electrical output so that our factories here could produce drillers or troops. Holy shit. I did not mean to do that. Anyways, the queen, oh gosh, as you can briefly see just now, can produce a lot of stuff, mainly sentries, thieves, foremen, whatever. She's basically the one that produces all these special skills or superpowers, whatever you want to call them. And I'm here playing against Axieof. Holy shit, why do I keep doing that? Lifrit, which is the teal or cyan, I'm not quite sure what color is that. And AlwaysABot. Well, AlwaysABot doesn't really get to play because, well, you guys will see later on. And I'm orange. Ken, see? Holy shit. Why do I keep doing that? Well, I'm basically spoiling the rest of the content for you guys. So basically, first off, we have basically a no attack truce going on here. An agreement of sorts, basically in the first few 20-something hours of the game, where basically all we did was our best to just conquer all the unconquered stuff, because see, it's dormant, no one has it, so we just took it all earlier on in game. And of course, my main objective on the earlier start of the game was to have very good borders, just really strong borders, because like if anyone wanted to attack me, it'll be extremely difficult because I have good borders. See, 20-something is a lot. Of course, Lifrit here sees me as rather strong here, so he also strengthens that side of his border. And as you can see, I really focused on defense here, sending a sentry over. Oh my gosh, this is annoying. I sent a sentry over earlier on in game. Now, me and Axie at this point had a truce. Well, semi-truce. And basically we all had a truce, more or less. Well, Axie came up with the truce first, so I just accepted it because I don't want him to be hostile. And of course I could always, well, you guys will see later on. Of course, we could also have the white color stuff around each station is called a shield. One circle is 10 shields. 2 circles 20, 3 circles 30, and then, well, you guys will see and I'll explain later. This is a lot of you guys will see and I'll explain later to going on. Here, Axie hires a lieutenant, showing his rather aggressive side. Lieutenant destroys 5 enemy drillers, participating in combat rules 50% faster than ordinary troops. Combat, well, ordinary subs, whatever. Anyway, here Wesley or Lifrit, whatever, takes Kybers. Now, having something so close, basically in direct line of sight to my queen, really unsettles me, number one. And number two, I'm slightly behind in production of troops because I have more generators than troops, than factories. Compared to them, they have more factories than generators, more or less. Oh, and also, it's really early on in game, but Axie makes a mine. As you can see, ta-da, and boom, he makes a mine. And at the top of the screen, you can see at the current mining rate, Axieof will win in 22.2 days. Now, our goal of this game was to produce 200 Neptunium. One mine produces 1 Neptunium a day. Well, every 3 hours, I suppose. Is it 3 hours? No, every 2 hours. One mine produces 1 Neptunium every 2 hours. Making a mine is extremely costly because it costs you 50 Neptuniums to make the first mine. 50 Neptunium for one mine. Then for the second one, it costs you 50 troops for one mine. The second mine costs you 100 troops, then the third 150, and so on and so forth. It's extremely costly. Keep in mind here, Axieof started off with the same amount of troops as the rest of us, but he's obviously lacking behind because, well, he has already spent 50 making the mine while I used it to strengthen my borders. Of course, this technically isn't really a good policy because, well, he's racing to win already, technically. While I, on the other hand, is still slightly behind. But of course, I just wanted to strengthen my borders. Well, I don't know what I was doing, but yeah, strengthening borders, very important. So of course, he has 30, keep in mind here, my sentry is already there, but that one doesn't really matter. I just wanted to defend against the 82 and the 40 here. That's not a threat because me and Axieof had a truce, and as you can see, he's attacking where the queen, AlwaysABot's queen is. You see, as soon as the queen dies, you are wiped out from the game, game over, just like that. And of course, the bad part about this is Axieof already spent 50 on that mine, so he already is sending 30 over to that mine. Well, generator. So he's basically spending way too much troops so early in game, while others, as you can see, Lifrit has already maxed out his production of troops. He can't produce anymore because he has already too many drillers to begin with. He can't produce anymore. So what he did was trade with me. You can disable shields in this game. So I was lacking behind in driller production, so I traded him basically one of my generators, which I had plenty of, for one of his factories, which I gladly accepted. Now you see here, in the meantime, while all these was happening, Axieof has already spent 150, and then plus 60. Basically, 60? 30. So basically, what? 210? Wait, what? No, 200. Somewhere around there, whatever. 180. Yeah, he already spent 180. Of course, he also hired a princess at this meantime because he wants to see stuff into my base, wants to figure out where my queen is, which is of course super far from where his stuff is, so he can't see. Lifrit, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure already figured out somewhat. So now, as soon as the princess hits, my sentry's range increases, because what a sentry does is, well, it fires on an enemy sub once every 2 hours while at an outpost. Each shot destroys 5% of the drillers in any sub that is in that any enemy sub that is in this red color circle's range. And the princess, what she does is increases the outpost sonar range by 50%, basically allowing the outpost to see 50% more than what it can usually see. And of course, if you lose control of your queen, the closest princess becomes the new queen, which is a plus because that means that I have insurance. And what a pirate does is well, I hired the pirate because it makes subs travels 2 times faster than ordinary subs and can target another sub. And then also 4 times the normal speed to the nearest friendly outpost. And as you can see, Lifrit, this is annoying. Lifrit also did the same thing. He also hired a Reverend Elder, which I'm not sure he used whatsoever. I think he just used it to defend his base. And of course, now this is where the fun stuff begins. You see here. Oh, I did not even realize. Oh wait, I think I did. Harin or AlwaysABot here made a mine earlier on in game, right before Axieof killed him off. Rather tragic. Well, this mine will be rather important later on in game. So I'm just here conquering stuff, having stronger just reinforcing my borders. And of course, this is where me and Axieof traded, sort of, because he needed more generators because he needed more factories, not mines. He needed more factories because, well, he doesn't need more mines, he already has 2 so early in game. And it says on top that he wins in 7.3 days, which we still didn't really care because it's 7.3 days, that's really, really far away. Anyways, he needed more factories because he's lagging behind on the amount of, well, drillers he's producing, because he has already spent 180 plus just, you know, the mines and taking over Harin or AlwaysABot, whatever. So he and I somewhat traded. Of course I later on realized that that's a bad deal because, number one, I'm giving him access to all my other generators in the nearby vicinity. Because keep in mind, generators can't produce drillers or troops, but factories can. So if he builds up a shit ton of drillers in this mine, in this factory, I'm screwed. So, but I still wanted his electrical generator. So first off, I took over the electrical generator. Then I re-enabled the shields so that he can take over the factory. Well, technically he still took over. What? Yeah, technically he still took over, but heck, who cares? That's not the point here. He still took it over, but I still took it back in the end. Well, it was around this time. Yes, it is. Yeah, well, not around. It's rather late. There's still a lot of stuff that I haven't covered yet. Holy shit. At this time, Lifrit here gets a thief. This is where Lifrit really started to just retreat into his shell, per se. Because he was also gearing to make mines. I think. I can't quite remember. And Axie here hired saboteurs, which really didn't really do much because of the shit ton of troops I had in this 3 factories here. These 3 factories are basically my last bastions of faith and whatever bullshit. Because as soon as my queen dies, this princess is my insurance, basically. And since I have such a strong... I have a sentry around here, it's basically an unlimited lawn defense. Because the range is also really huge. Now, I needed the pirate to carry my troops somewhere else. Because, well, I was preparing to make a mine here where my queen was. But then I realized it's a bad idea because, well, my factories aren't really near it. And then a whole site of... one entire site of my base isn't really as strong as the other. Basically my fleshy underside, as most would call it. So this is an intelligence officer. It shows 25% of all outpost range, sonar range increases, so he could see more into whatever the hell. Basically seeing the entire map. Then he also has an inspector, which fully charges a friendly outpost shield. Promoting to security chief is where the good stuff is at, because, well, look at his shields as soon as he promoted it to security chief. You see, he instantly gets 60 shields. Because, first off, the queen here gives him 20 shields. The outpost itself, the generator, has 10 shields. So that's 30 shields already. And then he has the security chief, which gives him another 20 shields. Okay, 50, not 60. 50 shields is still a lot. You're wasting 50 troops just to get into there. No way. And then he makes it a mine, which makes it even tougher because now he gets to have a winning condition while also doing basically shit. He just stays in his base and shits. So now, at this point, I was just trying to prevent Axieof from winning in 5.9 days because I then realized 5.9 days is just a week, and 1 week isn't really much time at all. So I started invading, so he used the saboteurs to send my stuff back, which, of course, really it's more of a time buying sort of specialist than anything. So I buy time for... So he just bought himself some time, which really isn't much, because in the end I still took over that mine. And meanwhile, look at this. Lifrit here sends 100-something troops over and then basically just leapfrogs around. Meanwhile, also making... Holy shit, when did he make that? Oh. And then also making Potaka here. Because that's what it's called. Potaka. His second mine. And he also sends a martyr over. Oh shit, I totally didn't remember what I did. So as you can see here, I also hired a martyr. Well, a martyr's fun. Of course, I wanted to make this place my bastion of truth, justice, whatever bullshit. Basically my last resort. So I also had a Reverend Elder, where basically no other specialists participate in combat unless both sides have a Reverend Elder. Of course, the combat priority, as you can see here, is 2, which isn't really that much. Well, combat priority of 2 is actually rather freaking low. But of course, the martyr has a combat priority of 1, which is even lower. And what a martyr does is it destroys all subs and outposts while in the blast radius, which is 20% of the standard sonar range. So you can't change that sonar range. Of course, for the princess, and the sentry combo, it's different because that's not standard sonar range. That's just outpost range, which is different from sonar range. And as you can see here, I targeted one of his subs because not only did I want to kill his troops, I also wanted to destroy where his queen was, thereby ending his game. But of course he saw that and migrated his queen over to the freaking mine here that I was preparing to take over. Just like what Lifrit did. So I destroyed that thing. You see, it just gets nuked off the face of planet Earth itself. And he also gets himself a security chief. Security chief? I can't remember. Too much shit's going on here. So he also copies me and gets himself a sentry. Of course, at this point, I realized that everyone's pretty much ahead in terms of defense and offense as well, because look at that, he's piling shit on top of shit. Of course, that's why I have my Rever Elder here, because then he can't really do much, because Rever Elder has a combat priority of 2 while everything else has 2 or higher except the Martyr. So I'm basically just good. Oh yeah, and then there was this part. This part's also pretty significant. Oh god, no, why do I keep rewinding forward? Rewind it backwards. So as you can see here, he had a mine here and a mine here, right? So I took over that mine, thereby giving me a discount because I'm spending less troops for getting the same effect. And earlier on here, Wesley sent to this mine a Martyr because, well, he just didn't want Axieof to win. You see, Axieof wins in 5 by 5 days, while Lifrit also has the same amount of mines, but since Axieof started earlier, Axieof wins basically. So of course, Lifrit sends a Martyr over to try and disrupt the mining operations, while I, on the other hand, wanted to get myself a discount on the mines. So I sent my stuff over, and then I negotiated with Lifrit to turn his sub into a gift so that I could get a free Martyr along the process. I took over that mine, I get the free Martyr, and then I send it along on the way to another mine. So at that point, I see that Axieof has evacuated that mine. Oh yeah, and in the meantime, I also made myself a mine so that I could catch up with Lifrit, because Lifrit already has 2 mines. I already took over 1. So I get the gift and I send the Martyr along to that side. Of course, I then realized that he evacuated the mine, so it's basically just smoking out the bees, I suppose. So then I took over that mine. So now I have the net total of 3 mines compared to his 2 mines. He then realizes that I could win. So at this point, I get the Martyr, and then I blow Axiof's shit up once again. Oh yeah, and then Axieof also sent stuff my way, because I had to move my queen because I realized my soft underbelly is really, really flippin' soft. So I sent it over and like just protected myself. So you see here, this stuff blows up, and he gets blown up as well. So now Axieof is reduced to a shadow of his former self with nothing but 1 generator here, which I'm geared to take over, another one here, and also 1 factory. So of course, he's not much of a threat, except he's not much of a threat with 100 something troops, which is also a big threat. So then, I get all my stuff together. In this mine here, right beside his, so that I could keep track of his maneuvers, I guess. And meanwhile, Wesley here takes over this mine. which is formerly AlwaysABot's mine. And now he will win because now he has 3 mines and he started off the mining process earlier than me. Of course I didn't like that, so I sent shit. And he's so close to my mine, and throughout this entire process, all I did besides attacking was also maintain strong borders. Well, not borders per se nowadays, but yeah, I just wanted to maintain troops in my stuff so that even though I could get taken over, even though my stuff would get taken over, they would suffer heavy casualties. At this point, I'm basically the global superpower now. Besides Lifrit, he is also rather stacked. And I grossly overestimated the amount of troops he has because I miscalculated and thought that there was 100 in Potaka because I wasn't able to see into Potaka at about this time. And then a few hours back was when he also started to get aggressive with me. Look at that. I managed to defend off both of them, but since they were starting to get aggressive, I also gotten aggressive. Well, I was already aggressive with Axieof, but that's not the point. The point is, I basically gathered all my troops into one place here, and then took over that mine. And of course, at this point, and I was extremely frightened because I did not realize how close he was to winning. They said he will win in 20.9 hours, and I totally did not see that coming. So of course, I panicked, and I sent 90 along the way to get rid of that. And of course, all the while my sentry is doing its best job taking out his troops, which of course really helped a lot because that means then now they say I will win in 22 hours and 22.8 hours. So, he really just started to get really aggressive because they said he was about to win, and then I basically snatched victory right out of his mouth or his paws, whatever. So now he's just really aggressive, and well, he started taking over my shit to try and prevent me from recuperating my losses, as in the amount of troops I had, because I clearly lost a few, maybe 50, 60 something troops. Of course, he's not one to speak much because he is also extremely limited on the amount of troops that he had. So I then started to make plans for in case he defeats my mines. Even though at this point, this is basically at this point I already won. But he doesn't know that. Well, everyone knows that except Axieof. Axieof still thinks that. Honestly, I don't know what Axieof was thinking at this point. I think maybe he thought this was the other game mode, maybe. Because in the other game mode, you have to take over as many troops as many outposts as possible to win. But in this one, it's the one where you have to get 200 kilograms of neptunium to win. Of course, this is just the unit measurement of kilogram or tons or whatever. It doesn't really matter because this is just 1, 2, 3. They don't really care about the kilos or the whatever. So at this point, Wesley was the only one that was attacking my stuff. Because Axieof here just was playing super defensive. I have no idea why. He should instead have been attacking my mine here that was super close. But of course, it's too late because it's only 15 hours away from me winning, and from Kalhammer to Bilante was about maybe 10 something hours. Fast forward a little, Axieof still hasn't realized that I was about to win. Now, he doesn't have enough time to send troops over to get rid of me from winning. Of course, Wesley Wesley or Lifrit here still tries his best to try and get rid of my mine. But as you can see, it ultimately fails and I win. Because not only does the amount of troops, does all the troops not reach there in time, my shields were vastly much more than what his troops could handle. And I think that's about it. I only made this video to brag about my victory, but oh yeah, this was where it really started getting crazy. Axieof just went full defensive. You see all these sections where the red circles just intersect each other? Well, not really yeah, I guess intersect's the correct word. Well, you get basically 5% of your subs just destroyed if anyone went into the intersections. Like, look at that, that's just insane. Of course, I already won at that point, so I don't really care. The troops are still going and yada yada yada. I actually prepared what would happen if I actually didn't manage to take over to mine everything in time. So I actually wanted to start taking over Lifrit's generator so that he can produce more troops, in case he started taking over my stuff again. And basically limit both of them by a lot of troops. Because the amount of generators decide how many troops you can have. And as you can see here, I have the most generators, and therefore could produce the most troops. While everyone here doesn't have enough. So, well, I don't know what to say, basically. Besides, ha! I win, you lose. I win, you lose. I think that's about it. I don't know. Towards the end, it really started getting crazy because we started to have so many specialists. Oh yeah, and I also got myself a generator. What generator? A general. Which basically meant that almost every combat that I went into would be basically my win. Because generals destroy 10 enemy drillers in combat in which have a specialist present. So for every one specialist that I have in combat, it means 10 enemy drillers just wiped off the board. Doesn't even matter, just wiped out. And since it's a global effect, so yeah, basically, I even was planning to, what if my mines were taken over? I would of course then send more stuff I would of course then just take out his generators and basically take out everyone's generator to prevent them from, well, destroying to prevent them from making more drillers, which will allow me to take them over relatively much easier, I guess. So I think I just basically used Axieof because he paid for the mines, and then he paid to set up the mines, and then all I did was just take it over at a discount. So sorry, and thanks Axieof. I don't know. And so yeah, that's basically it. Comment, subscribe, like, I don't know. Just the usual YouTuber stuff. I don't really care. So yeah, this has been a fun game, I guess. I think I would definitely do more. So yeah, bye.